Welcome back, everyone. We are starting a new project. This time it is the 1-48 B-17. This one specifically is a Revell again. And yes, I know I just got done building what is essentially is a Revell kit, and I lamented the whole surface quality issue. We're not going to start that again yet. We will. Not yet. That being said, I am going to bring it up. Just bear with me. I'm going to bring it up in this video, briefly, because we kind of have to talk about it. You'll understand why when we get there, but we are going to have to talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead. So yes, it is a Revell kit. As you can see in this still, it's got raised panel lines, the exact same kind of injection molding process that the MiG-29 had. No surprises, no shocks. It does have some rivet detail. For those of you familiar or have seen a B-17 up close, B-17's got a ton of rivets. Every single panel on that aircraft, more or less, is riveted together. Which, I mean, realistically, modern-day aircraft are still riveted together. But we're talking dome head, old-style rivets. Anyway, number of pieces in the kit is right around 72, I believe. Not a whole lot for the size of the kit that it is. It's a big aircraft. I believe it also comes with a little bomb cart as well, which that is counted in the number of pieces, so probably take off about, 8 to 10. So realistically, the aircraft itself is right in the 60-piece range. I want to say it's a lower skill level. I think it's a skill level 2. Don't quote me on that. I haven't checked. I'm not going to check. I will put it up on the screen. How's that? I'll do that right here. One point I'm going to make is, the wings obviously have the same level of detail. The fuselage has no surprises. The turbo superchargers are molded into the engine nacelles, which is interesting. That can be something you can do to increase quality, is to, cut those out, give those a separate finish. They are a little bit hard and tricky to mask. You can do it. I did it on the previous time I built this when I built 909. I did build 909 before 909 crashed, for the record. But I just painted them in place when I did it last time. It wasn't a big issue. But yeah, so price point on this model it actually surprised me, because I have it in my head that this model used to be between about $30 and $40 US. I don't know if I'm misremembering or if that actually used to be the price point. I got this kit a couple of years ago, and I believe that's roughly where it was when I bought it. However, looking today as I record this, I did notice that the prices jumped pretty significantly into the $80 to $90 range, which to me was surprising, and I'll get there later. It's kind of a similar situation to the MiG-29, unfortunately. The instructions for the Revell kit aren't bad. They're typically what you would expect out of the Revell product line. No real surprises. You get a black and white instruction book, you get a paint diagram, you get all your warnings, you get, the specifications on the front, and a little bit of story about the model. Appreciated. It's a relatively small booklet. We're only talking 72 parts. The instructions are relatively dense. No complaints. They will get you from start to finish through building the model. Decals are fine as well. In this series, we're not just building the Revell kit, though. I had intended on just doing the Revell Memphis Belle, but then the Texas Raiders crash happened, and I don't know, I felt compelled to go in and really do two things. So one, I wanted to highlight, and realistically the reason I do this is I want to give advice to people that are getting into this hobby. As I've said before, I will never claim to be the best at this, but if I can help somebody to get a little bit better, it's worth it to me. So that's one reason. The other reason, I'll expand on that previous reason in a little bit. But anyway, the other thing, I felt compelled to do this because I was in Dallas like 3 days before that crash happened. Had I known there was an air show, I probably would have stayed for the air show or found a way to stay for the air show. But yeah, unfortunately, the Texas Raiders crash did happen. It was 3 days after I was in Dallas, and for those of you that have watched my vacation video, that's right around that time frame. But anyway, so going back to the how to improve. So as you can see in the shot and the still that just happened, the HKM model has a significantly higher quality on the surface texture and surface detail compared to the Revell kit. And what surprises me price point about the Revell kit is this kit now is about $130. If you want to do apples to apples, HKM do make an F model B-17 kit of the same scale, which is basically the same thing without the chin turret. And it's specifically along the lines of Memphis Belle, and that kit's $124. So if you're really comparing if you have the luxury, you go in the $90 Revell kit to the $124 HKM kit, you are far better off getting the HKM kit. The instruction manual, as you just saw, is incredible. It's a color manual based on CAD models of the parts, which probably are the actual CAD models used to make the injection molds. But that was a surprising level of detail and quality for me, which I'm starting to find more frequently as I start to get some better kits in my stash. We'll get there, don't worry. As for complexity of the kit, there's 254 parts in this kit, which is substantially higher, build quantity per dollar than the Revell kit is. So depending what you want to get out of this, whether you're in it for the display model at the end or whether you're in it for the actual building process during, if you're doing the building process during and you have the resources to go buy this kit, straight out of the box, I would definitely go for this kit. Just based on surface detail, number of parts, the instruction manuals are phenomenal. It's incredible. Like on that sprue in front of me when I move my left hand, that's the turbo supercharger sitting down there that I just talked about being part of the molding for the engine nacelle in the Revell kit. They're separate parts here, which makes the detail much easier to bring out because you can paint it not installed in the engine nacelle. You can weather it separately, you can do whatever you want to it separately and then put it in, it's just much easier to achieve the same quality. Anyway, circling back to helping people get a little better. So my intention was kind of along the lines when I thought this was a $30 to $40, or thought the Revell kit was a $30 to $40 kit. My intention was to, hey, okay, go get the cheaper one, go get the more expensive one, being this one, and let's see what it takes to get the same final finish quality out of it. And so on the Revell kit, since I've already started building it, I've been working to get the same amount of surface quality as you can see here. There's a ton of rivet lines. All the panel lines are indented. All the panel lines are mostly correct based on the Boeing documentation I have on the B-17 from my background research. And what I wanted to do is, okay, how much more time do I have to invest in the Revell kit versus the dollar investment in just buying the better kit from the beginning to really get the same finished product? And so that's what I've been working on. Now that I go back and do the research into what the price point is for both of these model kits, I don't think this one's going to be as drastic. So I may do this again down the road with some kits that have a much larger differentiation in their cost versus, the final being a 1/48 of this model or 1/72 of this model. I've got a couple in mind, but we're not there yet. I'm not going to even remotely think about teasing it. Says the guy who put out a short of his entire model stash a couple weeks ago. Anyway, that's beside the point. Going through the rest of the sprues, the clear parts look phenomenal. There's a couple of little sprues with some little details. There's a lot of internal detail to this kit, which I'm looking forward to getting into. I will mention that this is an early G model kit. It's important to note because the later G models have... side note, I've never really done photo etch before. I've done it like once. I am increasingly buying photo etch for some of the other kits that I'm working on. So I'm very excited to use that a little bit more. And of course it comes with a sheet of the box art, which is pretty cool. Anyway, circling back. So this is an early G model. It's important to note that since we're building Texas Raiders, the Texas Raiders serial number B-17 was a later model G. There's an important distinction here that the later model Gs, and I'll go into it more when we get there, but the later model Gs have a offset to their waist gun positions, which means in this model kit, one of the waist guns, potentially both of the waist guns, actually need to move in the fuselage. That is going to be a very big challenge for me. I am enthusiastic about the principle of doing that. And by enthusiastic, I mean scared out of my mind that I'm going to mess up. Either way, I think it'll be okay. I need to do some more research and figure out where exactly they need to move and which one needs to move. We'll get there. So this shot is intended to be just a straight comparison between the two. You can kind of see the rivet lines and the rivet line differences. And cutting out the full minute of me fighting with the focus, you can see it a lot better in this shot. It's also very hard to photograph since one's green and one's gray. I've changed my lights. There's a lot of glare on the grayer model. Whatever, it's a thing. Another important thing to note is the internal detail between the kits is substantially different. That's going to be very hard to recreate. Again, I skipped some of the footage because of the focus. It's going to be hard to recreate, but I am going to give it a shot. Anyway, thank you for joining in for episode 1. This is going to be a very long, time-consuming build. I don't know what the schedule is going to work out to be. I know I've done a pretty good job the last couple of weeks of doing a video per week. We'll see if that continues. I don't think it's going to, at least not for the next couple of weeks. But I'm enthusiastic to get into this. I hope you are as well. If you want to follow along, please like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one when we get started on building.